Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to this week's edition of Cinnabar's Market Recap, where we will review a few of the key events that impacted the markets over the past week. We'll delve into the recent political developments in South Africa as well as abroad, and then also going to be touching on some of the important inflation data coming out of the US. Then, in what was a much awaited announcement, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa announced his new cabinet. This inclusive government includes ministers from 10 opposition parties, resulting in quite a bloated cabinet of 32 ministers and 43 deputy ministers. The ANC holds 20 positions, the DA has 6, and then the rest are filled by the smaller parties. The DA leader, John Steenhuisen, is now the agricultural minister, acknowledged that there are challenges ahead. Despite a history of criticizing large cabinets, the DA now finds itself part of one. The MK and the EFF, which came third and fourth in the government elections, refused to join this government. Notable appointments include Gayton McKenzie, a former gangster, as Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, and Peter Groenewald of the FF Plus as Minister of Correctional Services. Keeping to the theme of politics, the MK party withdrew its court case challenging the IEC results, citing alleged vote rigging by the Electoral Commission. The IEC opposed the withdrawal, arguing that serious allegations must be publicly addressed by the Electoral Court. They also noted that the MK party hadn't offered to cover any of the litigation costs. Despite withdrawing, the MK party maintained that it still believed the elections were not free and fair and might return with a stronger case in the future. The IEC and the DA contested the MK's party claims, with the IEC stating allegations of unaccounted votes were false. It looks like the hope of load shedding being a thing of the past might become a little bit more realistic in the future, with Kusile Power Station Unit 5 officially being added to Eskom's fleet after 6 months, increasing the station's output to 4,000 megawatts of power. Initially synchronized in December 2023, the unit now contributes 800 megawatts full-time, enhancing grid stability and has helped reduce load shedding. Kusile, featuring advanced emissions technology, has faced numerous delays, cost overruns, and also numerous corruption allegations, but it's good to see that it's up and running now. And then why not some more good news, where South Africa aims to exit the global dirty money watch list by June 2025. But there are still some serious challenges according to the National Treasury. The country must address 14 remaining issues flagged by the Financial Action Task Force by February 2025. Of the 22 initially identified, 8 are complete. 2 reporting cycles remain, with plans to resolve 9 issues by September and the rest by January next year. Then, looking across at the US market, the Federal Reserve's preferred measure of underlying US inflation, the Core Personal Consumption Expenditure Price Index, increased by just 0.1% in May, the smallest rise in 6 months, indicating potential for lower interest rates later this year. From a year ago, the index rose 2.6%, the lowest since early 2021. Inflation-adjusted consumer spending rose 0.3%, while nominal income rose 0.5%. This data supports Fed officials' plans for rate cuts, as inflation shows signs of cooling. Despite some economic strains, consumer spending remains robust, with wages and salaries up 0.7% and the savings rate rising to 3.9%. Then, in a dramatic upset, the UK's Labour Party secured a decisive parliamentary majority, ending the Conservative Party's 14-year rule. Labour leader Keir Starmer will become the next Prime Minister following Rishi Sunak's concession and resignation as Conservative leader. Labour's victory marks their second largest majority since Tony Blair's 1997 win, while the Conservatives suffered their worst ever seat count due to a surge in support for the Reform UK Party. Then, following President Joe Biden's perceived poor debate performance against Donald Trump, speculation about Biden potentially withdrawing from the presidential race has got Wall Street nervous. Traders are adjusting portfolios, moving assets like the dollar and treasuries in anticipation of Trump potentially returning to office. Market reactions were particularly pronounced in the bond market, with the yields on the 10-year treasuries seeing significant increases. Investors and strategists alike are increasingly betting on a Trump re-election, anticipating policies favoring inflationary measures and sectors like banking, healthcare, and energy. The uncertainty surrounding Biden's candidacy has prompted rapid contingency planning among traders globally. That wraps up this week's edition of Cinnabar's 5-minute market recap. We hope you enjoyed it, so stay tuned for next week's recap where we'll continue to keep you informed about the latest market moving events. Thank you again for joining us and have a great week ahead.